Hi, can everyone hear all right? There we go. Hi, I'm Tricia Robson. I'm the Assistant Director of Web and Digital Production at the Fine Arts Museums of San Francisco, and I'll be chatting briefly today about our realignment of our website, so not undertaking a full redesign, but changing just the information architecture of the websites. So, as we all know, website redesigns are expensive and time-consuming, especially if you're a nonprofit. The Fine Arts Museums of San Francisco, which is the parent organization to both the De Young and Legion of Honor museums, recently tested the concept of making iterative structural changes to refresh our institution's online presence. So here you can kind of see the relationship between the entities, the De Young, the Legion, and FAMSF. At the onset, the focus of the project was to realign our websites, so mainly for the De Young Museum, the Legion of Honor Museum, and FAMSF, in response to changing trends and user feedback, and all without committing to a full redesign effort and continuing to work within our brand guidelines. We weren't really ready for a full brand redesign yet, so this was kind of what we were working within. So quickly in this case study, I'll outline the steps that we took to update the information architecture and the functionality of our websites. The main goal was to update our menu structure, some small tweaks to design, and our page structure, so we could really set the foundation for a future branding redesign and provide a cost-effective solution for improving our user experience and the SEO and functionality of our website. So at the risk of completely overstating the obvious, it must be said that menu navigation is the single most important component of a website, and it can make significant impact on a visitor's first impression. In fact, roughly 60% of the time, people cannot find the information they are seeking on a website. And with such large visitor reach on web, this is a problem. On famsf.org specifically, in our previous fiscal year, 2013-2014, we received almost 5 million unique visitors and over 14 million page views. So this is high visibility, and coupled with sort of a complicated brand presence, it really became imperative that the museums make structural updates to the websites before a much larger overhaul. We really couldn't afford to wait at this point. Our web analytics revealed a really high drop-off rate, and comments from visitors really confirmed that there was general confusion around navigating our domain and subdomains. So here you can see kind of at the onset of the project where our websites, kind of what state they were in. So on the left on famsf.org, if we're looking at the menu structure specifically, you can see that there is no menu structure. And on the De Young and the Legion sites, you can see kind of horribly that there are 10 main menu items. So you have inconsistency across the sites. You have this confusing branding logo. It's not completely clear when you jump from FAMSF to the De Young to Legion. So, we have these low engagement rates on web, and there are several issues before jumping into the menu bar restructure that we had to quickly address in order to make the user experience more seamless. So first, our digital team created a new Css theme that was consistent across all 3 properties, and you can see the result of that here. This was just prior to going into updating the menus. Second, we rebuilt content types so that they would be standardized across all websites, so we're not triplicating efforts and having inconsistent sort of updates. And third, kind of the focus of did that just turn off? No. The focus of this project was to update the information architecture on all 3 domains. So outlining the structure for this project, at the very onset, it became important to update the foundation of our website. So the web team upgraded to Drupal 7 for better functionality and security. In addition, there was basic CSS theme tweaks that I spoke about in the last slide. So this really laid the foundation so we can focus on, so the web team could focus on the menu bar updates, which leads us to point 2 and 3. So next, with limited time and budget, the museums really needed to investigate the state of its websites. So for this, we used analytics and user testing. And as well as third, we looked at industry trends and best practices. So this research would really help inform our navigation restructure, and more importantly, it served the basis from which we would gain internal support for this project and for future redesign projects moving forward. So if we start with getting a pulse of institutional trends overall across art museum websites, the digital team pulled a selection of the most visited art museums internationally and nationally, and here we focused on art newspaper reports. We also looked at the most visited web museums online, according to analytics, and we looked at noted industry leaders in web. And because we're kind of pressed for time here, and I'm happy to follow up with findings if anyone's interested in after, we found that the average number of main menu bar items used across the board was 7. And this is interesting because it's the maximum number of items humans can process according to user studies. That's why phone numbers are 7 digits. Really beyond that, people can't really store and understand information. And kind of noteworthy here as well, across industry leaders, the average was lower, with 6 top-level menu bar items being used. In terms of nomenclature, the most popular menu bar terms in order of popularity were collection, visit, education or learning, or some kind of variation of that, exhibitions, or what's on, and programs, or alternatively called events in many cases. And it was least common, we found, that you would separate some iteration of support and membership, so kind of the development side and membership side. And we found on our own site that things were really structured internally, how we saw our divisions and departments. But users don't really see that delineation, and pulling these stats really confirmed that. So not only did we look at industry leaders, we looked inward at our own website as well. So if we looked at the previous fiscal year when going about this project, and that's July 1st, 2013 to June 30th, 2014, compared to the fiscal year prior, our statistics indicated that our web audience was growing steadily, which is great. We had over 85% more unique visitors year over year. But this said, engagement was on the decline. So our bounce rate increased from 35% to almost 60%, an indication that more people are dropping off our website after just one page. And our average visit duration was on the decline as well. And this is sort of an embarrassing stat to share, but roughly 50% of site visitors were dropping off our site in 10 seconds or less. So it really became clear that we couldn't afford to wait for a full redesign, and that our information architecture wasn't clear to users. And we dug into the analytics even a little bit further. The digital team broke down site stats into content sections, so we could locate user trends, not just across the entire site, but within sections of the website. And not surprisingly, we found that pages related to exhibitions, membership, general about messaging, events, and visiting really garnered our highest traffic and best engagement across web. So as we look to realign our menu bar items, it became really important to see where users were landing on our website and kind of focus our attention there. In addition to looking at the state of our own website and kind of industry best practices overall, we performed some on-site user testing with both members and non-members, and for this we utilized a closed card sorting exercise and a series of task-related prompts after that to see, how easy is it for people to find information on our website. And here you can see at the start of the project sort of a more focused look at what our navigation looked like, the 10 main menu bar items, that sort of confusing logo. And just to summarize really briefly, these sessions verified exactly what the analytics had suggested. In summary, our then current 10 menu bar structure was really overwhelming for web users, and they were having difficulty locating even sometimes simple information on our website. So after collecting this research, the web team launched quickly into an overhaul of the site structure. Without undertaking a longer, and I should say still needed, design overhaul, the team adjusted the top-level menu items from 10 to 6 and better standardized menu bars across all 3 domains. So we're just looking at the de Young here, but you can see kind of a shift, and there are some minor stylistic changes. So again, without completely rebranding, separating out those logos, showcasing the relationship between the 3 entities, streamlining the menu bar items based on research, and making them consistent across all 3 sites. That was kind of the main focus. And you can see that on the footer too. So not our most compelling slide, but the point is that this information was really standardized. And I should note that there weren't any major changes to the content of the website or any of the structure of the subpages. So the menu bars were really cleaned up and the information architecture overall, but there wasn't a major sweep of kind of the meat of the website. So the results were really mixed, but overall quite positive. On a user level, results can be a little bit difficult to unpack. But if we look at the 5-month period before and after the launch date, which was May 22nd, 2015, overall sessions and users to the website actually declined. But this is mostly based on our overall exhibition and attendance schedules. When we look at the analytics of our website, there's a really direct relationship between the popularity of exhibitions and our web traffic online. So that wasn't really a concern based on this project. But if we look at engagement, we saw that bounce rates improved slightly. Return web user visitation was up from 35% to 46%. And that drop-off rate in the first 10 seconds improved significantly. So these are indications that the menu structure could be offering further clarity for web users. And really kind of the main takeaway from this project was the results on an internal level. So the idea was, making these iterative changes without a complete overhaul of the website, which for many of us working in nonprofits can be tough to get buy-in for. It can be scary for people. So really the main takeaway here is that, by undertaking this project, we learned 2 main things internally. One, that a complete design overhaul is inevitable. Once we started unpacking the architecture and framework of the site, it became completely clear that updating our design and content would be necessary. But this project really laid the foundation for starting that research, and more importantly, 2, getting internal stakeholder buy-in. Without this project, we wouldn't really have gotten the support to continue forth and make more changes to the website. So that was really the main takeaway. Yeah. You can start switching out if you want. And like I said, we have much more specific results. So if you're curious of seeing some of that data, let me know after and I'm happy to send it. Do you have a Mac?
Oh, okay.
Oh, you have your own? Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah. And you'll have to slide it into
Yeah.
okay.
That's it.
Cool. Okay, hello everyone. I'm Pam Martin. I'm the digital content manager at the Albright-Knox Art Gallery in Buffalo. And we're here today to talk about the Albright-Knox's use of Guidio, which is an audio tour app that's being used primarily in Europe, but that we sort of piloted as the first US museum to use it. And so I will. Oh. Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah, we split the presentation in two. My name is Teemu Oksanen. I will first explain you the concept of Guidio, tell a little bit of the background, and then Pamela will continue of the use in Albright-Knox. So what is Guidio? It's a general application expert on the go, and what does that mean? And to whom it is for. So we developed it for people like me. So I'm a curious guy. I like to travel. I like to visit new cities, go to new sites, and learn about them. And what I don't like is to need to learn to use devices or applications every single time that I go and visit new sites. So rather than spending time finding information and learning how to use those devices and applications, I want to enjoy the content and learn about the sites and cities. So our approach is from content production background. So we really focus on what we provide for the visitors and how to do it as easy as possible, and really that the users don't need to spend time on studying and learning the technical part of it. So we provide high-quality curated content, location-based. So not just trigger items, but also help people to find their way through. So our current solution is application and backend system. So service, turnkey service for venues to provide multilingual, location-based content and navigation. And it works fully offline. So it's also for visitors abroad who don't want to do data roaming if the sites don't have very good coverage on Wi-Fi. So a few words about technology. Of the navigation, we choose Bluetooth technology because of the low upfront cost. So those beacons that are placed inside the museum provide our application GPS coordinates. So pretty much like outdoors, you navigate through using GPS. With our integrated navigation, you can do the same thing indoor. So that gives, and it supports floors as well. So if you need to navigate through a very big site, it takes you from point A to B. Since we focus on content, and this is general application for multiple sites, the cost and the time of developing cuts to very, very marginal. So you can really focus on providing very high quality content with an affordable price tag. So since the technology development cost is divided to so many different venues, that it really doesn't have any meaning for each site. And our production is based on networks. So we are part of a 30 countries network. So all the time, each new language and new site will have a local production partner. And then we take care of the system and the whole Guidio brand development. So at the moment, we are operational in the Nordics and here at the Albright-Knox, and soon to be in Spain, Central Europe, and Mexico. And so to summarize this, so what are the key benefits for the venue? It's very low upfront cost, so the installation cost is very marginal. It's turnkey service, so you don't need to have your production company partners. We provide translation and all the supportive services as well. And the installation cost is low. And for the visitors, since it's the same user interface, and if you visit multiple locations in the city or during your trip, you don't need to learn how to use those apps. And well, most of the cases it's free. There can be some in-app purchases, but the content is downloaded to your own device, and then you use it as you go. And primary market being museums and cultural sites, and then secondary markets at other attractions, events, and so on. And so, to summarize it, what it is, it's a one guide that knows where you are. When you move around, it provides you information without you even asking for it. So it's kind of taking the technical part out of it while bringing a lot of technology behind to do that. And I'll hand it to Pamela. Thanks.
So why did the Albright-Knox choose to use Guidio? They're based in Finland, and we're in Buffalo. So the geographic divide is very large. So we had looked at a lot of other solutions for audio tours. We'd looked at other out-of-the-box solutions or other customized solutions that involved apps and beacon technology, and we just found they were very expensive. And so our director, Janne Seren, who is another Finn, met Teemu at an art fair and was intrigued by Guidio, not least of all by its affordability. So we decided to enter into a 3-month pilot project, which was mutually beneficial for both of us. It was our pilot into beacon technology, and it was Guidio's pilot into the American Museum market. So what we decided to do for this pilot project was launch with 3 tours, basically our adult audio tour, youth audio tour, and our audio description tour for visitors who are blind or partially sighted. And they were all based on works that were on view from our collection. The first one on there came later, and I will talk about that later. So what are the benefits that we found using this product during the pilot project phase? We really like that you can use multiple devices, so you can use the app on an iPhone, an iPod, or an Android device. And you could also borrow a device from the museum. We bought 10 iPods to have available for people to borrow in the museum. Or you could bring your own device and download it on your own device. We like the fact that you can have content in multiple languages for each tour, and that Guidio provides professional actors and production for the audio files, as well as they will provide translation services if you need it. So you don't have to work out all that yourself. You can really just work with them to do that and all of their various partners. Also, the ability to download the tour over Wi-Fi and then use anywhere in the building without the use of Wi-Fi is really nice. The Wi-Fi in our building is really spotty. So this was nice. You can sort of be standing at the front door and do the initial download, and then you don't need Wi-Fi or any kind of signal. Also, the ability to access content in multiple ways. So there's a list view or there's an image view, because we all know that people access content in different ways. So these sort of differences are really helpful to our audiences. And also the ability to use this app before, during, or after your visit. So let's say you are a tourist to Buffalo and you want to learn more about the Albright-Knox, you can actually just open the app up in your hotel room and find what's the closest museum. And then the Albright-Knox will come up automatically, and you can explore the content before you're even at the museum. The ability to have multiple images for each audio stop is really important. Our curators love this feature because you can include multiple views of an artwork or preliminary sketches or even images of related artworks. And then you can also have the transcript for the audio file right in the app. So a person could read along, or they could choose to read instead of listen. This is also great for our visitors with different levels of ability. And then there are 2 ways to access the content. One would be if you just use the device to walk around the museum, and then it will trigger content when you're in front of an artwork that has a beacon, so it's sort of a discoverability factor. Or you can select a specific artwork that you're interested in, and then the map feature will direct you how to get to that artwork. And this is also applicable for facilities like your cafe and your shop and your restrooms. You can plug those into the tour, and so people could be directed there. So some of the challenges we found when using this technology, while it is available on Apple devices as well as Android devices, the Android version has a few kinks, and they're working on those. And also, there's no way to put a caption directly with an image right now, so we had just been putting them at the bottom of the transcript, which is not ideal, but again, they're working on a better place for those. And this is true of any audio tour, but when the museum is crowded, you can't hear. People would just bring the devices back and say, I can't use this right now, there's too much chatter in the museum. And then also with the beacons that are sort of assigned to an individual work, that we place them in the ceiling. But when an artwork moves, as it often does in our museum, you have to move that beacon in order to have it trigger in the right place. And our buildings and grounds team did not think this was their highest priority because they have a lot of other things to do. So we still have some out-of-place beacons. But luckily, we can just sort of deactivate those works from the tour for a period of time until we can get the beacon moved and then bring them back into the tour. And then also content management system. There isn't a content management system for us to use right now. That's another thing that they're working on. So we would send all changes through the Guidio team, and they would make the changes for us. But it's going to be great when they have the content management system online, and we can just control everything ourselves. So we did have a survey up on SurveyMonkey during this pilot project just to see what people thought of the solution and to help us determine whether it was going to be a good fit for us going forward. We found that 80% of survey respondents had never used a mobile museum guide before. So this was a good statistic for us to know because they weren't afraid of the technology. People, even though they maybe hadn't used it before, were sort of embracing it. 76% of respondents walked around the museum and read or listened to content as it triggered, rather than selecting a work and being directed to it. So this says to me that people were still letting their physical experience drive their use of the technology, instead of sort of being locked into that device and staring at the screen, which we don't want to be taking away from the experience of viewing the art. And then just the anecdotal feedback we got, some people loved the app and their experience with it, and some people felt that it did take away from looking at the art. So that's really more of a personal decision, I think, whether people would want to use this or not. So we have decided to move forward after the pilot project in using Guidio. So we have just added a tour for our special exhibition, Light and Language from the Panza collection. And really, we've only added 5 stops to this. It's a small tour, but it was just super easy and quick to get up online. And we're going to continue to use this in conjunction with our regular audio ones, which we find some of our visitors still prefer those. And so we're just really looking forward to continuing to use it and seeing how it goes, and looking forward to the changes that Guidio is working on for the app. Thank you.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Okay, so we're going to talk about second canvas and how an awesome art experience can overpass best games and sport apps on the App Store. So first of all, Iñaki Arredondo is complicated, so you have there the Twitter handle. I am Pixel co-founder and CEO, and at Pixel we do 2 different things. We have a technology to create super high resolution images of artwork, what we call our Gigapixel, and we have also created a platform called Second Canvas, and it's a platform to create apps by your own with a CMS and all the things we know. And first, we launched with the Prado Museum in Madrid. So I'm going to tell what happened when we launched the first Second Canvas app. So first of all, we have to take a look at what I'm talking about. This is the Second Canvas Museo del Prado app. There are a lot of things, but I want to just focus on the main key things. You can create whatever collections or exhibitions you want here by your own as a museum. And we have the 14 Prado masterpieces. You have art cards. You can include the audio guide and even related artwork to put in context. But the key thing here is what we did when you want to explore the painting. Because one of the ingredients for such a success with an app is to have something really with a great quality. Could we switch off the lighting for a while? Okay. You know, better at painting than me. So first of all, we have a very high quality image. This is a Gigapixel image. So first what I can do is to explore the painting. Oh, fantastic. We lose the, oh, great. Anyone knows about the demo effect? So we are in the middle of this. Okay, so always have a plan B. Come on, here we go. So this is the Garden of the Earthly Lights from Bosch. And you can explore the painting. You can focus on several details up to the brushstroke level. Okay, so you can see the crackle of the painting. You can see the brushstrokes. You can explore everything. So this painting is not just this tiny thing we can find in the typical books. This is something different. You can talk to, you can experience. So just go for a while to this corner. You know, this is from left to right. We are on Genesis. This is the garden, the main concept of the painting. And this is hell. We're going to hell just for a while. We will be back very soon. Look at this. If you are in front of the painting, you are not able to see this, okay? But the interesting thing here is the story behind, because if you see that's hell as burning, should be hot lighting, but actually it is cold lighting. Why? No idea. But as I'm not a curator, I can figure out whatever I want, and I just think that Bosch is trying to say that death is not hot, death is paralysis, it's cold. And this is the reason this lighting is fake. So this is first. Second, what we did, we know these stories are really important. We are all the time talking about storytelling, but we are keeping the storytelling for ourselves. Museums are keeping storytelling for themselves most of the time. And we put here that storytelling on this storyline full of interesting things regarding, I don't know, the Brotherhood of the Common Life, for example, or talking about this alchemist symbolism. So we create this cinematic storytelling, so you can go one by one. Even you can have links, so you can go to Genesis 2:22 if you don't know about this meeting. And you can tell stories on different layers. So you can tell stories about this scene and then about this character and the unusual iconography. Okay, so next thing we did is, okay, this is fantastic storytelling, personal feelings, exploration, and so on, but what happened with the bi-directional storytelling? So I also want to share something, so I can go just to my kid's favorite character here. Yes, Troche, it's just a little bit scaring. Come on. Oh, 2 legs. Dog, fantastic. And I want to share this dog and tell a story. So I tap on that button. I can share on, for example, Twitter. And then we just capture here a snapshot of this detail. Is my detail, okay? And now I will tell my story here, together with this hashtag. With this app, is the first time the Prague Museum created a specific hashtag for each one of the 14 masterpieces on the Prague Museum. And what we have with this, it's not just the beginning of the bi-directional communication, but also, if I just go back to the R card, we have a social button there, and then I can read what other people is telling about this painting. And here you have. Sometimes just to say goodnight, all the time for all the kind of reflections, even me. Okay, so, but we thought, okay, but this is not enough. What we want, we already have this, all these ingredients. I would like to have superpowers. So this super zoom is kind of superpower, but I want to have more superpowers. How many of you want to have more superpowers? Just a couple? I don't believe you. Okay, let's assume the rest are just waiting for the moment to get the superpowers. And what we did is to put here the possibility to to see the sketch under the painting, activating the infrared. But not with the whole thing, but also focusing on the details. So you can go here, take a look at this guy with the speckles, with the glasses, and see a pentimento. Now back into the natural lighting version. And this guy, whoa, magic, surgery, no idea, but, but you can see that. It's a little dark, this projector. You should see this on the iPad. So, and we have same thing for other possibilities such as the X-ray vision. So you can also see the support behind the painting this way and explore all the possibilities and tell other stories. Okay, let's go back. So finally, having all this and on all the possibilities, which is very, very important, is that if I like this beautiful Van der Weyden painting and I want to go to the detail, and I have different stories here, but I will tell you one of my favorites, this eye. You can learn how to paint a tear, the technique, okay? But you can also see, it's a little bit dark here, but on the iPad you can see perfectly that you have this tear and you have another one on the cave of the eye, just almost dropping. And you have the irritated also part of the eye because it's crying. So finally, you see that there is something really sad on this scene, and you can discover tons of things here, like look at the color of his face and the color of her face. Who is that? So finally, what we decide to do is simple. Okay. Enough. Let's go back to the presentation. Okay. So all the things you saw was created by the museum, by their own, with the CMS Online. And when a user have this kind of experience, they are ready to pay for that. So the users paid €3.99. And the app was #1 on the App Store in Spain and in more countries, even on the education section as well, in more than 12 countries. But the point is, it was #1 for more than 10 consecutive days. And in Spain, over games and over soccer, there is nothing. Soccer is our religion. So this was really something really amazing. Okay, so the good news here is that if you put the right ingredients here, like super high resolution, beautiful images, other superpowers, creative storytelling, bi-directional storytelling, personal, enjoyable, rich experience beyond the building, because this experience is not just for them to be at the museum, but also at home, connected with your TV, for example, or in the sofa. And also in the classroom, because the classroom is really, really important as well. So if you do all these things, you can have this premium app, and you can try, to figure out what the users are thinking. But you can also read what they are saying. And in the reviews on the App Store, the worst comment we had is, you have 2 stars because I like it very much and the quality is fantastic, but just 14 masterpieces? I want to have more. I want to have the whole museum. Okay, thank you. And what next? We are also at Makeover, we are trying to put other ingredients on second canvas, such as, of course, we are also using beacons and all the possibilities we know about beacons, but all things like physical digital exhibitions. With such a thing, we can create in a physical place, a digital exhibition, and transport your artwork to other places virtually. Okay, this is long to explain, but it's really, really interesting. We are also working on offering museums a collaborator and monetization way to use this kind of encapsulated images with the storytelling. And we are also working hard to provide our technology to museums. So we can do it by ourselves, but we are trying to museums to give this tool for you to have this opportunity as well. And on the second canvas platform, you can use your own images. The images, the HD images you already have, could be imported on the second canvas. We transform them on this Gigapixel style, and you can have several levels of zoom, maybe not so much, but enough. Okay, so questions? Android? Yeah, it is, the platform creates apps for iPad, iPhone, Android, tablet and smartphone, TV app, and more things coming.
Just flat artwork for now, or are you looking at spatial reconstructions of sculptures?
Yeah, of course, that's a mandatory question. Yeah, we are working on that, but we can have a solution that provides this experience with 3D objects. Right now, we can capture 2D objects with some depth, and it's working amazing. But for completely 3D objects, we are right now working on them, and we will have a solution very soon, together with this kind of storytelling and experience and sharing all the things, because we want to do it really well. More questions?
Technical question.
Okay.
How many layers and how many renditions of a given painting do you need to do? Like you have the full gigapixel, so you can zoom in all the way.
It depends on each painting or each artwork. So we for each artwork we decide what to do. It's not always the same thing. So
Give me an example. Like
no, you can have from 4 to 13 levels of zoom. Yeah. Yes, amazing.
When a user shares a detail from one of those paintings, if someone looks at that on Twitter, is there a way for them to link back into the representation of the artwork without the app?
Good question. As we like the multi-device system, we are also creating a specific web app for that, and we also put the second canvas platform in different models. So you can just license one of the models or different models, and one of them, this to show the Gigapixel images, will be available also for the website. So you can see on your tablet, continue on the website, back to the iPhone. I think I'm out of time. Last question. Great. Everything's clear. Okay. Go ahead.
It works great for narrative paintings when you can zoom right in and that type of thing, but it would be equally engaging for abstract pieces or where you just want to
Equally.
to the brushwork.
Equally.
You mightn't have the same storytelling.
No, the storytelling is different. I have no time, but if we go, for example, for a Goya painting, and you see this just 4 brush strokes he used, for example, to create an eye, as we have been seeing yesterday, you see, wow, you can tell me a lot of stories about the color, about the technique, about the meaning, so it is possible. Thank you very much.
So, good morning, everyone. My name is Marta Snow, and I'm the founder and designer of Apikiko Creativity and Learning app making company. So, like many of you that I've discovered here at MCN, my entry into this network of things digital in the museum has been rather circuitous. So I'm trained as an architect, and about 4 years ago, I decided to form an app company with my computer vision, computer guy husband, and now I am having my own sort of transformation into seeing how these apps could get into the museum world and to help museums engage their visitors through a creative and social visual storytelling app. So one thing that I've learned in this process of making apps from the ground up and trying to distribute them and find users and such is that the name is important. Pencilicious, as what was on the title, is a very difficult name to spell. It sounds fun, but Doodles sounds fun too. So we're going with the Doodles now. On the side there, you saw a little example of what the app looks like, and that our Doodles family of apps is all about providing a simple and intuitive platform for digital creativity for everyone. So the ink is beautiful and expressive. It looks like a real pen, but it has editing capabilities. And people can feel proud of what they are creating on their device. It's for everyone. The controls are powerful, but not too overwhelming. There's a paint bucket fill, which is unique in little sketching apps. And with the parent app, Doodles, we created the ability for people to make their own digital stickers, and that they can reuse and change and share and make it social and sharing. But then we also know that people want to just have something available to make their things look cool without having or feeling like they have any talent. So we developed these sticker packages of which that's what's going on with these things, so people can tell their stories with pre-made things. And then once I started thinking about the social media aspect of digital creativity, I knew that Doodles could be a part of that, and that museums would be an excellent place to elicit individual visual storytelling responses to a common physical experience. So we know that museums are a place where people are specifically paying attention to where they are, what they're doing, and what they're seeing. They're seeking an experience, as we can see while they're exploring the museum's apps on the App Store. And so we're so conditioned to turn to our phones and share this experience and get feedback from others. It seems like the more creative and unique the post, the more positive feedback comes back. So we see all the photo filter apps and Instagram and such like that, and all the stickers and emojis for messaging, the photo frames and special fonts and cute phrases for people to overlay on their selfies. So there's been proven success for these instant, easy applications of expressive stickers. There's an extremely popular Asian-based mobile messaging company called Line, which they launched a sticker store, which allowed people to upload and sell their digital stickers to a marketplace. And that store, in its first year, made $75 million in its first year. And so it seems like people want more and more ways to make their messages stand out. So I thought that the museum community also is trying to figure out how to engage and connect with their existing and potential visitors through social media campaigns. The audience wants more. Your audience is ready to respond to what museums have to offer them and create a creative social media dialogue. So the premise of Doodles Experience Notebooks for museums is to provide an opportunity for museums to encourage their patrons to react visually and socially via their phones to their personal experience of a museum, and do this with customized digital doodle stickers with custom palettes and branded papers. So here was this example of a little package I made up for MCN, which you saw going through, that has the logo and the color background and doodles that are relating to this this event is all built into this little package. So it provides a fun, whimsical, and creative digital content related to the museum, their content, their special event, and to a receptive audience who's looking for it. And then the kicker is that when you see that, within the app, just like in the previous app that we saw, there's we can put in the hashtags and the Twitter handles and the Instagram handles directly into the sharing experience. So there's sort of an instant guerrilla marketing for the museum by posting their doodles on social media. And part of the customized doodle packages is this text entry. So they can specify any hashtag campaign or handle or website that they want to get out into the world. So it takes the responsibility of the public poster person to type in the appropriate hashtags, which I know I have trouble doing myself. And so museums are ready to be part of the mobile trend and community of creative expression while promoting their brand and message. It's kind of like putting your own digital stamp on it. So this app, provides an opportunity to get a semi-custom app presence, exposure without having the technical investment or time. And the technology has been worked out. The minimal custom content can be plugged into the format and distributed almost instantly. And organizations can refresh their content as frequently as they want. They can add new stickers for a new exhibit, a specific collection, a visiting artist, a community event. And it remains in a familiar format for your patrons. It's familiar, but still dynamic. So besides being an activity to do in the museum, Doodles is not dependent on an internet connection to doodle with it. You can continue to doodle and compose off-site, so on the train or on the bus back from the museum or on the way to the museum, in the car, on your couch, at any time when they're reflecting upon and just deconstructing their experience. They might feel inspired to compose a collage of doodles related to the experience that they had when snapping a photo of the museum stairwell or skylights. That's the Yale architect and me speaking of Louis Kahn's beautiful buildings there. And they can the experience notebooks can be a call to revisit the visit and collect the experiences in one place. So this is inspiring and encouraging another physical visit and to add to the notebook. They can continue on just making their own little doodles around. And I think that it would be just sort of amazing to have people visually collecting their museum visits from all over town, all over the country, all over the world. But their experience doesn't have to stay in the app or locked in their photo album, which so many of our photos do. It's the app encourages it directly to be shared with whomever is looking and creating a visual story. So, of course, this app application does not need to be limited to private mobile devices. Museums could easily install the app on their in-house interpretive iPads or iPods, and you can hook up some projectors to showcase the visitor doodles and interpretations up on a wall as you're entering into the museum. And a visual glance at it still provides a cohesive sort of brand stamp on the museum. You could see that visiting artists could, that was going on there. Okay. Visiting artists could host doodling sessions, where he or she then distributes digitally the doodles created to the attendees or as a fundraising event. And I know with the idea that everybody wants to have such a unique social media presence, a custom one-time art original piece of digital artwork would be quite the digital status symbol for some of our generations. And they would be able to provide a way to encourage creativity and a visual dialogue as a supplement to the physical experience of visiting the museum. So I'd worked to, there's another thing with the unlimited. This is what the MCN conference doodle looks like with the doodles that are available and the front screen of having this show of what's going on, what kind of backgrounds you can get, like stationery. So I'd work to create the package of customized doodles and stickers and branded backgrounds and social links. And the distribution of these notebooks, they could be entered as distributed to the users as codes or location-based. And it would work out however to serve the specific needs of your museum. So I have the technology down and the framework in place to move fast. It can be these digital stickers and backgrounds could be all plugged in and distributed, within a week or two. And it provides an easy way for museums to just do something quick and dirty to get out into the mobile social media space. They can be the museums can be facilitators of the engagement with their audience and an outlet to co-power their patrons by participating in something creative that can be easily and familiarly be shared with the world. Their experience was noticed. They can relate to how others experience the same place, and they're sharing their story. That engagement and warm, fuzzy feeling, I think, brings people back to the experience that they had before, and they want to revisit, come back to the museum, collect their museum experiences, and move on from that. Come back and want to go to more museums. This is a little sneak peek of a possible addition into it is making GIFs, doodling your own GIFs. So here's another Louis Kahn stairwell going downstairs, and you get to turn it into a GIF. It automatically advances in this doodling way. It's going through this is real time. I possibly should have sped it up. But there, an easy little format, and you could doodle your own GIFs experience. And I'd love to have everybody try out Doodles. It's free on the App Store today for you guys. But if you search Appy Kiko on the iTunes App Store, you can check it out and play around with it, and the experience comes up. Thank you. I'd also like to talk to anybody about where they think their museum might use this or what they see with their public. Thank you.